My name is Alan Tucker. I'm an attorney here with the Advocates. And one of the most common and possibly complicated questions that we receive is, what is my case worth? What is the value of my case? How much money can I get out of my injuries? I say this is complicated because there's a lot of factors that go into evaluating an individual claim. For example, in a car accident case, there's typically two vehicles involved. Sometimes these cases are really straightforward. Somebody gets rear-ended and it's clear who's at fault. But other times there's an issue of who is at fault. Maybe it's a crash at an intersection, a dispute over what color the light was, and either side could have very good facts in their favor that point the finger at the other person. When there's a liability issue, that kind of complicates the evaluation, because if you are at all at fault, even a small percentage, that will diminish the value of your claim. Another element that plays into the value of your case is, what medical treatment have you received? Again, for some of these run-of-the-mill, kind of your normal, lower level car accident cases, you might see some chiropractic treatment from some physical therapy in kind of a limited time space. So maybe for a couple of months, and then you're all better and you're back ready to go. Again, those ones are a little bit easier to evaluate because you factor the amount of medical expenses that person has. You factor in the amount of time that they were kind of restricted from their daily activities, and then you can make a calculation on what the evaluation of that case is worth. But again, some cases might require a life of treatment. For the rest of their lives, this person might be treating. And so we have to sort of look into the future and determine, what is your medical treatment going to look like? Are you going to need treatment for the rest of your life? Are you going to need surgery down the road? How much is that surgery going to cost? How much is a in-home hospice care going to be for the next 6 months? Those are all elements that factor into what your case is worth. And so those medical expenses, as you can imagine, can get really, really high. And depending on the amount of medical expenses, that's one factor that plays into the value of your case. Because the most important thing, at least the first step in getting a fair recovery for you, is to make sure that all of your medical expenses are covered, both past and future expenses, so that you're not left paying out of pocket for injuries and medical treatment that were not your fault. Another issue that goes into evaluating your claim is, what are your injuries? We see injuries that range from kind of your normal whiplash type injuries with minimal treatment to catastrophic or even death cases. Obviously there's differences along that spectrum of what your case is worth. For the more run-of-the-mill cases with the whiplash and the maybe 3-4 months of limited movement pain in your neck, those ones are fairly easy to evaluate, and a lot of that depends on your medical treatment and whether or not you're going to have long-lasting effects. On the other end of the spectrum, these catastrophic injuries, perhaps a death claim, those are what, in my practice, I refer to as an X factor. Those are a little bit different, a lot harder to evaluate, because really what I'm looking at is, how much is a jury going to evaluate the loss that this individual has suffered? And in reality, that number could be enormous, depending on the extent of the injuries. Like I said, the death of a loved one, what was that person's profession, for example? Are they providing for a family that's bringing in lots of money per year, and now the family has lost that? These all factor into the value of a claim.